What's going on, guys? Kivox here, and welcome to a new wand review. We're finally going to do another one of these, and I think I have some decent wands that were submitted by some of you. Some of them have been sitting there for a while, so you guys do know that. If you want to submit a wand, send it over to newwandsday@gmail.com, preferably 16:9 aspect ratio like the screen is. It helps a lot for ease of showing the entire wand. Once we get some more in, I will most likely make another one of these. Just going to have to wait a little bit. I look forward to seeing some of your wands. They don't have to be super professional. I show off great wands as well as more, how do I say this? Amateur style wands, or, new creator wands, which is perfectly fine. If you guys have any specific questions when you submit them, put them in there. Now, if you have multiple wands, you can always submit all of them. I would prefer for you to submit your favorite ones or the ones that you think are the best. When you submit your wands, just make sure you put in there some information about yourself or about the wand, at least a name that I could call you by, so that I have some information for you. So I can say, hey, this one was from John. John is from Italy. It's always fun to see where everybody's from, or at least get a general idea where all these cool wand makers are. Okay, so our first wand was submitted by, they signed at the bottom, Jalis. Jalis? The email says that it's from a Jan. So, you know who you are. Here's your wand. So you actually submitted two of them. This is the first one. And, so I don't have really a lot of things to say, like nitpick things. The only thing that I have is that it is a branch wand. Branch wands have a very unique look, which is the opposite of unique. The unique look is that they all kind of look similar. Your next one is also one, but it is a little bit more unique. It's less, but still very similar. So you have some engravings on the handle itself. Let's see if you put in here what it is. The inscription reads King and Wrath in Norwegian. And it looks nice. It looks like you have, one on one side and the other on the other side. It's a nice wand, to be honest. For being a branch wand, it's good. It's really good. The blade is good. It could taper a little bit, but not really. Like it's fairly good. And sometimes images make things look a little bit weird. So honestly, I think it's a pretty high up there, especially for branch wands. Now this next one has a similar style. I love the fact that this second one with the green piece on it actually is a nicer quality image. The blade, the end of the blade itself is a little bit stubby. It almost seems like it doesn't reduce enough. It doesn't look bad whatsoever. Guys, just so you know, if I ever say something specific about like, hey, it does this too much or it does that too little, it's my opinion, all right? I'm not trying to offend anyone. It's just, if I were to make it, I would have made it a little bit different. The handle with the yarn or whatever that is on it, it's a little bit too clean and perfectly symmetrical, but also not symmetrical at the same time. The design itself is really good. I think you did a really nice job with the carving. I like that the guard going into the blade fades, right? So the blade, as you go up, it fades and gets lighter and lighter, and it's less of the bark and more of the inner piece of the wood. I would say that my least favorite part of it is the pommel, and it's mostly because it does look like you just kind of took a really sharp knife and just went chink, chink, chink and called it a day. I know you probably didn't do that, but that's what it looks like. To do something there, I would have probably brought maybe a little bit of that twist that you have around the blade. I would have probably brought a little bit of that into it as well. It doesn't have to go down it much at all, but it just kind of takes away, because the blade itself is twisty and spirally, and then you have this sharp edge on the pommel that's just too it doesn't flow as well. You can make an argument that it does flow, but when I first look at it, that's what I see. That part pops out to me and it doesn't look as finished as the rest. But again, I'm just nitpicking. The wand itself is still really nice. It looks like you have a third one that you sent in. I don't know if there's a fourth one after this. I'm just going in order right now. So the blade itself, the shape of the blade, really nice. I do like those cracks. You know what's weird about those cracks? It almost looks like, you know, like a nice loaf of bread when it gets a little like, not, it doesn't crack, but it gets those wrinkles on the top. It almost looks like that. It looks really cool. I like it. Let me give it a little, let me zoom in here a bit. It's nice. I don't love the pommel. I don't love the pommel, and the blade, on some of these pictures, the blade does look like it has a slight taper at the end, and then on others, it looks like it doesn't. People always give me crap for this, right? When I say things like this with the taper. But if you look at any of the factory wands, the official wands, you'll see that they either have a very thin blade, most of them. Obviously, there's some random ones that don't, but they'll either have a very thin blade and it will have a taper the entire way. It doesn't have to be a gigantic taper. It just has to be noticeable. If you look at the bottom image here, you'll see that it looks like it does have a taper, but if you look at the other two, it kind of doesn't. Now, that pommel is weird because it looks like a little scooper, like you could almost eat with the end of that. It looks like a spoon. It's like a spoon. I feel like you could have done a little bit, it could have gone a little bit deeper with it. Granted, all of these wands, the last three wands that we just saw, were all pretty much carved by hand. So you're limited on what you can do. Also, some of these branches are probably pretty thin and not the strongest. So I get it, man. I think you did really good for the, you said it, not my words, your limited tools that you have. So honestly, just keep going. I'm wondering, did you just stain this one for the handle, or is that, it looks like you just stained it or painted it or something, right? Let me know. If you do end up watching this, let me know if you did stain it or if you painted it or what. All right, next up we have one from Jack, from the US. And this is a plethora of wands. So, okay, let me pick out my favorite right off the bat. The one that pulls my attention the most is actually the second from the right. What do I like about this? Obviously, that pommel, whatever that is, I like it. It's weird. I don't know where you found it. It looks like an ornament or something. But the shape of it is what pulled me. I like that, like Count Dooku almost style of handle. I think that is by far the strongest one. It could be a little bit longer. It looks like the wooden part is probably about 12 inches based on the fact that the ruler there is probably a 12-inch ruler. So I think that if the blade just was a little bit longer, that would be a top tier wand for sure. Now, some of these other ones aren't as impressive as that one. All right. Now, the one all the way, what up, dude? The one all the way to the left. It's too pointy. It's way too pointy. Like, it legit looks like it has like a filed tip on it. It also doesn't have a lot of anything else. It just looks like almost like a teardrop. And then some of the other ones, I do like that this third one here has a lot of little engravings on it. That looks pretty cool. I do appreciate that. And now the center one here with this big spiral, or not spiral, bend. I don't think it flows well based on the handle being extremely straight. It doesn't look like that's two parts, like that's a bamboo piece or something, and it looks like the one next to it is also bamboo, possibly. But I really like that. I really like that second to last one. The ones to the left of it, the two to the left of it, look like traditional style wands as well, and those look pretty good. I think you did a pretty good job. Now, the one all the way to the right is extremely large. It's that's a thick boy, and that's like more of that like traditional Wiccan style wand, it seems like, as opposed to like the Harry Potter inspired stuff. Next up, we have a submission from the Philippines. It looks like their name is AIDS, AIDZ. So I don't hate these, especially the top one in this image. It looks like you mostly painted them. So they're probably either made out of a twig or a drumstick or something like that. But no problem with that, except for that middle one. That middle one's probably not a drumstick because it's way too thick. But yeah, couple things. They're a little bit thirsty. The top and the bottom one are a little bit thirsty. The other one looks like it's half thirsty, where you may have to do a some sort of finish on it to just give it that luster, that little bit of a slight sheen, but not a shine. At least personally, I tend to not go with super glossy paints unless I want it to be like a machined look of some kind. For the most part, that is what I have found the style of the Harry Potter, the Wizarding World universe does for their wands. Honestly, these are decent. They don't stand out too much, but it does look like you hand carved all of these. So there is that. Obviously, the more tools you have, the better off you are for options for different looks that you're trying to achieve. Now, speaking of tools, once the shop that I've been working on for the last year or so, on and off, once that thing is going and ready to go, one of my first videos that I will do is probably going to be a beginner tools, like what I recommend, which I've done before, right? And I will do a beginner tool and then more advanced and more advanced. Maybe I will do a couple of options. Let me know what you guys want to see for that style. Like, do you want me to go like, hey, this is exactly what I use, or do you want me to tell you things that I recommend? If you're not at this point, you can start here. That's kind of the route that I was deciding to go. So let me know in the comments, and appreciate it. I mean, back to these wands, there's really not much to say. The design is good, doesn't stand out, nothing crazy. The top one is probably my favorite one out of the bunch. Nice job with the aspect ratio. All right, next up we have a submission by Jero. Where does it say where you're from, Jero? No, but it does say that this is your first drawing of a wand. And all right, let me try to figure out this handle here, the pommel. I don't know what it is. I know that there's a snake. Okay, so here's the issue that you're gonna have. The shape of it is, it can work. You can definitely make this, right? But it won't look as good as you drew it. I don't know if that makes sense, because if you made it exactly the way you drew it, and it looked exactly the same, it should look good if the drawing looked good. My point is that it's not going to flow properly based on the fact that, first, the blade where the snake is wrapped around is way too thin. Now, if you want the snake to wrap around it, it can be there, but that snake is going to have to not have that big head as well. Most likely taper that down. If I were to do something like this, I would make it, the blade itself, straight, and then make the snake, give it a little bit of a twist, right? If you have that twist right in front of the snake's head, it doesn't add to it. It takes away from the design. It's perfectly straight, and then it just goes blah, and then straights again. It doesn't flow properly. Now, the handle pommel part also, I don't know what the black there is and all of that, but also that tail can't be floating like that. It would most likely break unless you made it really, really short. But having a snake wrapped around a wand isn't a bad idea. We've all seen this wand, right? Peter's wand. And you'll see that it has the snake head on it, but it's not very big. It is slightly thicker than the actual wand, but you can see that it's not perfectly straight, right? So the design for this is that it wraps and it continues, that flow continues all the way through the wand and then wraps around. It's a nice design for a wand. It really is. I'm not a big fan of animal heads. You guys know that. I almost despise animal heads on the thing, but I can appreciate this design. The handle itself is nice. It's fits in your hand well. It's just that they did a really good job. It's super simple though too. Like that's the best part about it, is that it's not overcomplicated. Yours, on the other hand, is almost too much restraint, right? Restraint is always a huge thing that you need to take into consideration when you're designing a wand, is that you can keep going. You can keep adding stuff and doing all this crazy stuff. So I would just remove a couple of aspects of it. Pick one theme and stick with that whenever you're designing a wand, because you can easily overdo it. Look at Voldemort's wand, right? Look at Voldemort's bone, weird, crazy wand. It has one theme, and it's the bone theme. It doesn't have a lot of different parts. It has that hook and that little like other part on the guard that kind of spikes out, and that kind of goes with the hook. And it's the bone theme, right? It's not like a bone with a snake and a gem and another thing, which always takes away. All right, so we have a submission from Wyatt. I think you put this in front of like a cutting board and a towel and stuff. All right. I'm not complaining. Let's look. Let's give this thing a zoom in. Okay, so here, look, guys. This one, super simple. It literally is just a tapered piece of wood with a slight bend in it. I really like it, and it's probably the simplest wand that we've seen today in this video so far, I would say. It has a slight taper all the way through. Obviously, it's more aggressive at the tip, and then it kind of slows down toward the handle. But it just has this. You just added a couple of cuts into the handle, and it's just nice. It's probably my favorite one so far, and it doesn't have a lot going on, but it looks really good. So nice job, Wyatt, I think it was, right? Yeah, nice job. All right, next up we have the infamous Gonzalo, or as Meek likes to say, Galangzo, or any other God name that she could mess up your name with. Yeah, you've been around for a little bit, and this is beautiful. Here, hold on, let me grab it. Gonzalo, you made a beautiful replica of this wand, which is obviously, I just mentioned it before, Voldemort's wand. And man, you did a great job. So this is now my new favorite for this video. Granted, okay, you gotta bear with me here, because obviously it's not an original, but it is made out of, I believe this is walnut. I don't know what it is, but like it looks real good. Like it looks just like this. Yeah, man, you did a great job. Like beautiful. I'm assuming this is the one you made. You sent a message. Your description here says that there are some other pictures or some other wands that you've made a few. You made a Sirius Black wand. Then you said the second one was lace wood, and then the third one. But I only have the walnut, the one that looks like Voldemort's wand. That's the only one I have. Honestly, I have nothing to say. Like it's great. I think you did a great job. I want to see some of these other wands. Maybe you sent them later. So we'll see if we get to those, but nice job, man. Here's the thing too, replicating wands, it's not easy. I would say making a good replica, like a really good replica like that one was, is just as hard, if not harder, than creating your own. So it's a completely different type of talent, I think. And obviously there's some crossover there. Somebody that makes replicas can 100% make great wands of their own. And I think it's harder the other way around. I think somebody like me would have a harder time creating a replica than creating my own, as opposed to the other way around. The other way around, I think that they would have a much easier time. So freaking great. All right, so next up we have some submissions, some drawings from Heyo. They wrote the guy with the Hebrew name that is also a conjunction word. All right, Marina's wand. You have some lore here. It's somebody related to a previous wand that you submitted, twin sister of Blaze, which was another wand that you submitted prior to this. I don't remember exactly what wand it was. I'm sure if I saw it, I would remember. I like it. I think that the right above the little squid head, or at least right under it, I guess, where the legs are, it's a little bit thick, but I obviously you could just, when you make it, you could just change it a little bit. This is obviously a drawing. It's really good. I like it. I like the little gem inside of there. It looks really nice. This could be a nice wand. Yeah, for sure. And I like that it's an animal design, but not like overbearing. Like, hey, I'm an animal. You know, it's just like, hey, maybe I'm a little bit of an animal. You know, I don't know. And then we have this cherry dragon heartstring with some chibi wings you wrote. I like it too. It's nice. I really like it though. Great. I mean, whenever the wands are just nice designs, I have very little to say. But now this last one, I have a lot to say about, because it's a very nice design, and I feel like I've seen it before, but it's just real good, like, you know what I mean? You think you wrote something about when the wand senses danger, the runes on it glow. Yeah, okay, so it lights up. This kind of reminds me of like those new light up wands that they're coming out with. The design though is beautiful. I really like that handle design. Man, that shape, perfect. I'm definitely going to be taking inspirations from that shape, because that is a beautiful shape. It's very, very nice. I really like it. Nice job. All right. So this one is submitted by Morris, and it looks like it was a commission job made by Rooted Relics. I'm not sure if they're on Etsy or where, but they did a really good job. This thing looks super cool and clean. The finish on it is really nice. They know what they're doing. I like how they did that guard. Now, did they carve that out? Is it like all one piece, or did they make 4 diamonds and then glue them on? Either way, they did a really good job. It looks awesome. I have nothing bad to say about it. I think it is. I would like to see the original, because you said you drew it and then sent them in. I would like to see how close to the original it is. It's not a crazy design, right? The hardest part is those diamonds. That's by far the hardest. Everything else, somewhat easy, but the shape is nice. The finish looks good. It's not thirsty. Just nice, man. Just great job. All right, next up we have one from Brian Gottstein, Hufflepuff from New York. Oh, nice. You're like right around the corner from me. And all right, so Brian, you made this wand, and you call it the Claw. And it's all right. It's a little bit pointy. It's a little bit a little bit. I get the claw thing, because it is literally like a claw, but it's a little bit on the pointy side. Seems kind of dangerous, but it's a simple design. There isn't a lot to say there. You could add a little bit more to give it some character. There are a couple parts of the blade that are a little bit thin, but other than that, decent. And I'd like to see your next wand if you made any more, if you ever see this video. All right, next up we have one from Heyo. Again, you could tell by the artwork, it is the same style. I really like it. Now, is that white piece on the pommel like a gem, like a white crystal or something, because that's kind of what it looks like to me. I really like it. I do like the like grassy, mossy look. You could totally do that with like modeling. You know how people make terrains and stuff? You can get that like moss grass textured stuff. That would be really cool for that, and it would totally work. Great design, beautiful wand. I don't. That's it, man. You guys, you can't just submit good wands. You know, you got to submit some less good wands. So that I have more to say about it. All right, so next up we have one from Riccardo from Italy. All right, Riccardo, it looks like you submitted three wands. So let's start off with the one that you said got ruined on the blade because you overburned it. It's a pretty good design. I do agree you definitely overburned it a little bit. There's also no connection between the burning and the non-burning parts, so it kind of looks a little bit weird. I like it. I think that overburning can definitely do it. If you're gonna burn something decently, you kind of have to start with a little bit thicker piece. So if you planned, let's say, you planned on burning this, you wouldn't make it this thin. You would make it slightly bigger than you want it to be at the end of the day, because you're probably gonna burn off a little bit of it. You can always take away, but you can never add, right? That's something that we all know. You're right. It is good to show your failures. It is good to show your mistakes, or at least, you know about them and know what you did wrong. You probably just went a little ham with that torch or lighter or whatever you were using. Now this next one, simple design. I think that it would have, if you could get that that guard piece where you carved it, if you could get that like perfectly symmetrical, it would have really added to it, because it would have been like this nice, smooth, rounded design with this like perfectly symmetrical round ring around it. I think it would be really cool. Granted, it doesn't look bad. I'm just saying I think that would be pretty cool looking. Next up, we have a wand from Steve. I don't think that this is a wand, so we're gonna go to the next one. Now, these three are definitely wands, and they look really nice. You did a good job with the handle and the fasteners on the back. I'm not a huge fan of the nut that you used for the very end of it. Jeez, Link, again, bro. The one at the bottom here looks pretty good. I love the acrylic like handles. I think they look really nice. They can get overdone pretty easily. There are a few creators out there that's all that they make. They only make, brass fittings or brass like sleeve with the handle, and they just glue it all together. Ideally, you would have glued this, and it would have given it a little bit more of a less modern, because when you have a nut or something on there, it's going to make it look modern. It's not going to make it look like the style. Don't get me wrong. It looks really good. You use some threaded inserts, and you did a nice job. You really did. It really does look good. It is a different style, and again, I think that the nut takes away from it. The nut at the very end takes away from it. If you could have gotten like just a finger tight one that you could that was just like kind of like a little acorn, just the acorn part of it without the flats, I think that would have brought it together a little bit better. But it's like 95% there, man. It's just that little 5%. All right, now we have one from Jalis again. If you remember from the beginning of the video, they sent in a couple of wands, I think 3. And I think this one looks really nice, man. The only issue, right? I always have issues. I'm sorry. The only issue is that it looks a little thirsty, and the metal around the pommel is a little wonky. You may have done this on purpose. It seems like you did it on purpose, because the blade or the wood grain there, or not the wood grain, the bark that you have still on the wand is like wet looking. So it looks like you possibly did this on purpose. But what I'm gonna say is that what are you doing, bud? I think you just need a little bit of a finish on the actual the actual light part of the wood, I guess you could say there. So that being said, what I would probably do for this is if you were to chop off the handle below where the guard, the first part of that guard is, where the bark is, and then made the actual, maybe the handle itself, make that into the handle, the piece between the two pieces of bark, make that into the handle, then maybe make the blade a little bit longer. I think this one would have been a little bit more cohesive. But everything is there. You did all the stuff. It's like the carving's good. The finish is really nice. Those engravings look really good and crisp. It's really, really nice job. All right, next up we have a beautiful submission from Lense. Okay, so this wand. It's a drawing, obviously, of a wand, and it looks pretty cool, man. Like, honestly, I think it's beautiful. It does look a little bit like Narcissa's wand. Look, if you could make this, I would be very impressed. If you could figure out the metal parts. Now, I'm assuming that all of the white or silver parts are metal. So yeah, that would be pretty freaking tough. You would, I feel like you would have to make little molds and cast them. You don't technically have to cast them out of metal. If you could make molds, right? You could technically cast them out of acrylic, but use a metal powder in there to give it the metallic look, and you can get some really nice stuff. It's a beautiful design. It's very nice. Nice job, and I hope that you continued to make wands after you sent this, and maybe you have already submitted something else. Who knows? All right, so next up we have one that doesn't really have a name. They didn't give me a name here. So I'm gonna just show you guys the pack of wands. It looks like they used some hot glue for some of these. Some of them are wood. The image is a little bit lower res, so it's harder to tell. I would say, let me see, my favorite one is the one all the way to the left. The one with the leather wrap around it. I think that's my favorite. It's just nice. Something about it. Kind of reminds me of a broom, maybe. So apparently, I had a lot more wand submissions than I thought. So we're gonna have to continue this in the next one. So the good news is that we're back into making these. Hopefully in the next week or so, you'll see a second one of these or another one. And I plan on, if you guys keep submitting them, I plan on making more. So I hope to see more of your wands, but this is gonna be the last one. And if you guys want to submit your wands, send them over to newwandsday@gmail.com. Aspect ratio, remember, okay, cool. It'll just make my life a lot easier to show off your wands if it's this shape, you know? If you're doing one wand, you can put it across like this, or you could put it across this way, whatever, you know, just try not to do this. That doesn't really work. I shouldn't have to explain this to you guys, but okay. Let's start. There's some really nice wands here, and they just have a row of very nice looking wands. It looks like they are from Japan, and Mori, M-O-R-I. All right, so this top one here, it's very nice. It looks like you have a couple of little metal inserts that you used here on the handle, which look really good. A lot of these ones have a similar style where it's that very curvy handle, maybe with a round pommel or a flat pommel, very uniform, a little bit of metal here or there, and then this usually pretty straight blade. And okay, so that being said, it doesn't mean that they're bad. And I do think you used some leather in some of these here. Looks like that little leather insert. That looks really good. I'm wondering if you bought that piece, if it already had that on there. That black one on top looks really good. The red one, it looks like it's not actually red, but you stained it, and it has that red leather on there too. Now the next one I would say is probably, out of this picture, is probably the weakest one, but it's mostly because it's the finish doesn't look finished. So I would say that you just need, it's a little bit thirsty. You just need a little bit of some sort of coating on there to give it more of that that finished look, right? It doesn't have to be glossy like some of the other ones, but it could be a little bit like a semi-gloss, you know, just pop some semi-gloss on there, baby. Now this next one, I think out of this batch is probably, it's between this one, this like white one, and then the bottom one is probably my two favorites out of this batch. There really isn't much to say that's bad about these. Actually, there's nothing to say that's bad about them. The only thing is they do seem like they're very long and very, very thin. I would recommend getting a little bit more. Oh, it's tough though, because it looks like you are using some metal bits, and the metal bits kind of limit you on how thick you can make the blades and stuff. So that being said, very good incorporation of the metal, and I really like them. Really like them. Now this next batch, again, similar style, little metal doodads here and there, which look really good. The top one has that stone flats and facets and stuff like that on it, which look really good. It's tough because you have some weird shadows happening here in this picture with the especially with that top one where it takes away from its silhouette. I like that bendy one, man. I think you did a really good job with that bendy one. The second one down with that, like, it almost looks like not porcelain, like opal or something. Is opal what I'm thinking of? Yeah, okay, kind of like opal, depending on the color of the opal, but I think I'm thinking of like a quartz or something like that, like a pink quartz or a white quartz. I don't know if there actually is a white one. I don't know if it's called white. It may be. I don't know. But that acrylic piece just looks really good, especially in that picture. It looks awesome. But now that twisty one, that twist is really nice. I think that it doesn't need as much of that handle that you have on there. It doesn't need, I think, that second metal piece all the way at the pommel. I think that it could do with just having the smaller piece with the little pommel piece there. You have a lot of these little metal bits and you seem to use them a lot. You may want to take a step back and use a little bit less because they look really good, but I'm sure that there's plenty of people that love that, especially since I'm looking at it as like I see, if I were to see the same thing or make the same type of thing over and over like that, I would get sick of it. But there's a lot of people out there that just want their one to look like that, right? So yeah, I think you did a great job. I think it's great. So I'm glad that we ended on a high note there, and we will see you guys in the next one. Make sure to like the video if you liked it. Leave a comment down below. Let us know which one was your favorite. Let us know which out of these creators was your favorite. So just leave a comment down below and kind of describe the wand, or you can obviously just rewind the video and just be like, hey, I really liked this wand, the fourth wand that you showed that was made by Gonzalo. He made that the replica one of these. Beautiful job. If you guys want to support the channel, you can join us here. You can become a member, or you can join us on Patreon as well. There's usually a link at the end of the video and usually in the description too. Now, speaking about business, since it's the end of the video, you guys are probably, most of you guys already tuned out. I was thinking about possibly doing some reviews on some other wand makers, some other creators that are out there, and maybe spotlighting them. Obviously, I don't want to go and trash talk anybody, but I can do some highlight videos where I can say, hey, check out this other wand maker that's out there. Obviously, I'm not the only one. You guys know that, and there are a lot of other really talented people out there. So maybe would that something you guys would be interested in? I tend to not do stuff like that. I don't really reach out to other people. I could even have them on a video where we could talk about like creative process or something like that. Let me know if you guys want to see something like that. If there's enough interest there, I will reach out to a few that I've talked to before. So that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.